You must never be a fussy eater. Beware of all your siblings. Never talk back to your parents. Strive to be a dutiful, filial child. Otherwise, you will never leave this room. Opened my eyes, I saw a man and a woman standing by my bed. Thank goodness, you're finally awake. Your father and I were worried sick. The woman claiming to be my mother spoke to me. The man beside her, with a dark, gloom, must have been my father. But I had no recollection of them whatsoever. Come and eat now. You need to eat more if you want to recover quickly. Wait, was I ill? Before I could ask anything else, the woman claiming to be my mother pulled me and led me into the living room. In the middle of the most striking feature was a long dining table. It was covered with a white velvet tablecloth and set with candelabra. Dozens of people were seated along both sides of the table. My mother and father sat at opposite ends of the long table. Mother pointed to a seat and gestured for me to sit down. Right, it's 8 o'clock. Let the meal begin. I didn't dare eat, so I whispered to the girl sitting next to me, "Sister, do you know what's going on?" I don't know either. I was fast asleep in my own home. Then I woke up and suddenly I was here. Besides, my parents died a long time ago. The girl's voice was trembling, as if she were about to burst into tears. A soft cough. I turned my head and found Mother staring right at us. She spoke in a soft, gentle voice. You mustn't make a noise while you eat. And it's best not to whisper amongst yourselves. Xiaohe, if you're unsure of you can check the dining manual on your right. I looked down, and sure enough, there was a It says dinner is served at 8 p.m. sharp every night. It is safe while you are eating, but you cannot refuse to eat for any reason. And you must never say that Mum's cooking tastes bad. No mobile phones at the table, and certainly no shouting. No crying and no being picky with your food. Eat as much as possible to keep Mum happy. These ordinary words make my skin crawl right now. What happens if we don't follow them? Suddenly, one of them decided to speak up. Where on earth is this? He stood up and shouted, I don't know you. Have you kidnapped me? Mum let out a heavy sigh. It seems you still haven't been taught properly. As soon as she finished speaking, a figure suddenly appeared behind Xiao Yu. A hand clamped down on his shoulder. It was the father, who had been sitting at the end of the table. Before he could even react, father was dragging him towards the bedroom. No matter how hard he struggled, he couldn't break free. He was dragged into the bedroom numbered 210. I remembered my room number was 303. Strange noises came from room 210. It sounded like crying, but more like an eerie laugh. 5 minutes passed. Xiao Yu and father walked out of the bedroom together. Xiao Yu's was deathly pale, with a stiff smile fixed on his lips. He was muttering to himself like a man possessed. Mustn't scream, mustn't scream, mustn't scream. He sat back down in his original seat and began to wolf down his food. I was breaking out in a cold sweat. Now, let's continue, Mum said, turning to her new son-in-law. Soon, dinner ended in that bizarre and deathly atmosphere. When the meal, Mum looked at the half-eaten food. What a shame. You didn't finish it, after I spent so long preparing, and father worked so hard to hunt for it. Mum remarked, seemingly, all these dishes left to wash. It's such a chore. Then she said to us, now that dinner's over, you can all go back to your rooms and rest. My other siblings fled from their seats as if bolting straight back to their bedrooms. But I remained seated. Xiaohe, why haven't you gone back to rest yet? Mother had noticed me. Mother, I asked tentatively. Mother, can I stay and help you with the washing up? Mother was momentary. It took a moment for her to react. Then, the look in her eyes softened. Of course you can, if that's what you'd like, Xiaohe. While we were I used the tactics she taught me to fish for info. What's that thing in father's hands? It's a humine, dear. A humine. What's that? I asked the question pointedly. My stomach was already burning with nerve. I wondered if mother had misspoke. Perhaps what father was carrying wasn't a humine, but a human. Mother glanced over. She looked at me a little strange, but she explained anyway. A humine is a monster that disguises itself as a person. They have heads and limbs, just like us. The most ridiculous, some of them actually have families. They even play act as mothers and playing at happy families. It's honestly as revolting as it is laughable. At that, mother laughed out. I played along and shared the laugh, while thinking to myself, are you sure you're not describing yourself? The washing up was done while we chatted. Xiao, just put this cutlery back where it belongs. Wait, does it look like some cutlery is missing? Oh, I see. I picked up the cutlery and turned to go. Just then, there was a sudden cry as Li Yinhua collapsed. The knife in my hand remained under my firm control. I lunged at Mum's right hand. With a loud clang, I fell. The cutlery went clattering all over the floor. Are you all right? Are you hurt? No, as I spoke, my eyes instinctively darted to Mum's right hand. Her arm was smooth and flawless, with droplets of water still on her. There wasn't a single scratch on her. How is that possible? I'd used that knife to cut steak before. It was razor sharp. Oh dear, be careful. I must have slipped. Now I'll have to wash these all over again. I thought, on the pretext of bending down to pick up the cutlery. I took a closer look. That's when I saw it. Bloody hell. The blade had actually buckled. At night, I lay in bed, dwelling on everything that had happened. I tossed and turned, unable. I turned over and saw something on the bed. There was a small booklet. The cover read, Survival Manual for the Chinese Family. I opened it. It said, "Your parents love you very much. They can grant your every wish. Never refuse any request from your parents. Your parents won't hurt you. They allow you to leave the but you must return by midnight at the latest. Never attempt to run away. And never say no to your parents' faces. Filial piety is the minimum expectation. Never let them call you unfilial. Filial piety is if they believe you are a good, filial child. You may ask them for anything. Strive to be a good, filial child." My eyes were fixed on the last part. Making a wish to your by earning enough of their favor. It might be possible to escape this place. As I was thinking, there was a sudden knock. "Who is?" I asked, immediately. It was the person who sat next to me at dinner. The voice sounded so familiar. I looked through the peephole. It was indeed that girl. I didn't think twice and let her in. What are you doing here?" "I want to talk to you." About how to escape. "I've noticed those two monsters are asleep. What's your name?" "Yi Xiao Xiao." "Xiao Xiao. Have you seen this manual?" I asked, taking out the Chinese family survival manual. "No, I don't have that book in my room." "That's strange." I pointed to a passage in the manual. "Never attempt to run away from home, and never mention it in front of your parents." I explained to her. The fact they wrote this down. Means they've realized we'll try to. Running blindly is no different from a death sentence. "Then what should we do?" She seemed disheartened. Her head slumped down. "Let's just get some. At least I'm safe for the time being. Just go back to." She didn't say anything else after hearing that. She turned to leave. I also turned around, intending to get some but just then, I heard a sharp whistling sound. Like something slicing through the air. She lunged. Then I heard a sickening tear. A wave of intense pain made my vision. A knife had been driven into my abdomen. The one who stabbed me was Yi Xiao Xiao. "Are you insane? Why would you stab?" I yelled, clutching my wound. You're one of those. The only way to escape is to kill all of you." Yi Xiao Xiao screamed hysterically. She tried to pull the knife out. I used all my strength to punch her to the floor. Then I kicked her away. The sudden tore my wound open even further. Blood wouldn't stop gushing. I could only press down on the wound with all my might. I glanced down at the injury. That's when I realized he was using a dinner knife. No wonder Mum thought some cutlery was missing. Yi Xiao Xiao had no intention of stopping. He pulled 2 more dinner knives from his jacket. "Don't blame me. Blame them. They're the ones who told me you're a monster." Perhaps it was because I'd volunteered to stay and that they saw me as a freak. Yi Xiao Xiao charged straight at me. I could barely even move my feet. As I saw his knife lunging for my throat. At the very moment, a large hand clamped onto his shoulder. It pinned Yi Xiao Xiao firmly to the spot. My consciousness was fake. But I could still. It was a tall, imposing man. He looked grim. His face was scruffy. In a low voice, he said to the trembling Yi Xiao Xiao, "You must not harm family. You still need to be taught a lesson." Finally, from the pain and the loss of blood, I blacked out completely. When I woke up the next morning, I found myself lying in bed. The wound had been bandaged. I peeled it back, to find it was already nearly healed. I left the bedroom and went into. Several people were already seated at the dining. I scanned the room. But Dad was nowhere to be. I eventually spotted Yi Xiao Xiao in the crowd. His gaze was vacant. His eyes were staring. He was muttering under his breath, "Oh, mustn't harm family, mustn't harm family." My other siblings heard him too. They looked at him with eyes full of resentment. I found the man with glasses, and sat down beside him. I whispered in his ear, "Why are you all doing this to me?" "Because you're a monster," the man with glasses replied coldly. Hearing this, I clenched my fist. After the meal, the bespectacled man, had stuffed the cutlery into his pocket. I kept that in mind as I helped Mum clean the mirror. I subtly nudged Mum's attention towards it. "There really are a lot of knives and tell me, do you think someone might have taken them by mistake?" "That is certainly possible." Without stopping her washing, Mum turned to look at me. "So, Xiao He, go and help Mum get those missing pieces back. Bring them all back to me." Hearing Mum's words, my body felt as though it were no longer. I walked straight to room 204, the bespectacled man's bedroom. I knocked on the door. Mum told me to bring the cutlery back. "Piss off," a harsh voice snarled from inside. I didn't react, repeated myself. "Mum told me to bring the cutlery back." The door opened, and the bespectacled man poked his head out. He scanned the air, and seeing Mum wasn't there, he lunged out and grabbed me. He pulled out a knife. He lunged at me, and this time, I still didn't manage. Squelch, the sound of a blade slicing through flesh. But I wasn't the one who had been stabbed. It was the He stared at the wound in utter I paid no mind to his shock. I just repeated Mum's words once more. "Mum told me to bring the cutlery back." The man pulled the knife out. His right hand trembled as he tried to hand it over. But he didn't want. He was still resisting. Then, his left hand grabbed his right. And slammed it again. Thud, thud, thud. Blood splattered all over my. The blood wasn't bright red. It was a deep, dark crimson. The sound of the banging grew more. Finally, it stopped. The man's right wrist had been completely. The hand, still clutching the knife, fell to the. Then, his left. Picked up the severed hand and the knife, and I took the knife back. And then, I knocked on the next door, my face devoid, like a pre-programmed machine. I repeated the task Mum had set for me. What followed was much the same. Eventually, I collected all the knives and fork, and handed them back to Mum. It wasn't until she took them, and patted my head. Xiao he really is such a good, obedient boy, that I finally snapped out of that eerie trance. In the blink of an eye, Dad appeared. He sat at the dining table, stroking his gloomy, while wolfing down some fruit. I stole a glance at him. Surprisingly, he wasn't dead, though the dressing was incredibly crude. As Mum spoke, dinner officially began. I noticed that so far, the boy called Xiao Yong, and Yi Xiao Xiao still hadn't appeared. Where had they gone? Didn't the rules say they had to be here for dinner at 8? Who cares about them? It's better if they... A voice whispered deep inside my heart. I pushed the thought aside and began to eat. Perhaps because I was injured, my appetite was enormous. As I chewed through the meat, I found it exceptionally sweet tonight. Before the meal ended, Mum made an announcement. I won't be home tomorrow. I'm going out for a while with your but I'll prepare the food in advance. Make sure you remember to eat on time. My heart sank instantly. My brothers and sisters. They were staring at me with predatory eyes. If the parents are out tomorrow, I'm finished. So I anxiously asked Mum, Mum, can I go out with you tomorrow? She refused me in her usual tone. Xiao he just needs to stay at home and wait for Mum and Dad to come home for dinner. I lowered my head wondering how I would survive tomorrow. After washing the dish, Mum tidied the cutlery with practiced ease. Then she took all the knives, put them into a small cabinet, and locked it. After locking everything, Mum looked at me and placed a key in my hand. Xiao he, keep this key safe. It's the only key to the house. It opens every lock we have. Holding the key, I smiled and replied, don't worry, I'll take good care of it, Mum. That night, I opened the cabinet and took a knife. Lying in bed, I felt strangely. I even started to hope those siblings would come for me soon. On the third day, a knock woke me. I grabbed and hurried to peer through the peephole, looking outside. It was indeed a large crowd, led by the man in glasses. They were pounding on my door. Without a word, they started trying to ram it down. Thud after thud echoed. But the door didn't budge an inch. In the brief pause between the man's rams, I suddenly threw the door open. Without a second thought, I lunged and drove the knife into his neck. The man in glasses ran right into me. Red liquid sprayed all over my face. Before the others could react, I slammed the door shut with a bang. I yelled to those outside, if you're not afraid to die, then keep coming. I watched through the peephole. Not a single one of them. I knew it, they're all just pathetic trash. I sat against the door, knife in hand, relishing the sensation of stabbing him. Somehow, it felt wonderful. Kill them. Kill them all. A voice deep inside was urging me to act. Knock, knock, knock. The sound broke. I looked through the peephole again. Only one person had come. He looked familiar. Someone from the crowd. After all, with the key can open the door. Hello, my name is... Can I come in and talk to you for a... The boy named Huang Mai said to me. What do you want? I gripped the knife tightly and asked cautiously. Huang Mai didn't answer me directly. Instead, he said, you have the key, don't you? That female monster. She gave you the key, didn't... What key? I don't know, I said, playing dumb. If you didn't have the key, you wouldn't have been able to get that knife. Huang Mai explained, that key can open every lock in the house, including the front door. We can finally escape this hellhole. I thought back to my mother's words. Huang Mai probably wasn't lying, but I said to the person outside, why should I trust you? You've always wanted to hurt me. Huang Mai let out a sigh. I'll be blunt with you. It was all a ruse. He spread the rumors that I was one of the monsters too. He even incited the others to kill me. That way, I'd become their enemy, and those two monsters would trust you. Only then would they feel safe, leaving the key with you before they left. That's the only way to escape this place. Hearing Huang Mai's explanation, I froze on the spot. Continued, haven't you noticed? Su Yong and Yi Xiaoxiao have already... If this carries, we'll be eaten by those monsters too. I suddenly thought of the meat from last night. I felt a wave of nausea. After a brief I finally opened the door for him. I saw Huang Mai, but the next second, the smile froze on his face. Before he could even react, I plunged it into his heart without a... Warm liquid splattered across my face. Wang Wei collapsed into a pool. He stared at me in his mouth moved as he struggled to speak. He seemed to be asking, why? Since you were willing. Yi Xiaoxiao and the guy with then you could have sent me to mine as well. Wang Wei might have had his plans and no reason to go. His plan. Actually, I'm the one holding the knife now. I glanced at my blood-stained hands. Black, just as I thought. I cut my finger with the blade. Bright red blood seeped out, in stark contrast to his black blood. By now, I felt a faint, fleeting sense of realization, but I still couldn't quite. From the mouths of those, I should be able to get a sense of our situation. They had all fled back to their bedrooms, but it didn't matter. I took out the key that could open any lock. I opened the first bedroom. Before he could even react, I lunged at him with the knife. The blade pressed against his throat. Tell me what you know. I don't know anything. Fine, you can die. Without hesitation, I struck. Next. Tell me what you know. Trembling, he told me. Everything he knew. That's all I know. Right. Thank you. You can die, too. From them, I gathered a lot of useful information. Firstly, the biggest difference between us. Is that they have seen the world outside. They were abducted by Mum and Dad from the outside world. And brought here to this house. But I have never seen the world outside. They told me there is no sun out there. It is shrouded in eternal darkness all year round. There was no moon only the stars. Red stars, like eyeballs, covered the entire heavens. And within the darkness, countless mindless monsters lay hidden. I felt confused, but then I remembered. Wait, have I never actually been... Then where did this memory of the sun even come from? I began to sift through my memories. My name is Jaha. I'm a human from Earth. I was transported to this, stumbling into this bizarre family. I want to escape. In this memory, the world outside has a sun. I don't belong in this house. Those two monsters aren't my parents. But another memory tells me that my name is indeed Jaha. But I'm not from Earth at all. I've lived in this house since I was a child. Mum and Dad love me very much. They are my real parents. I've never been to the outside world. Some time ago, I fell very ill. I had a high fever. My brain was muddled. Mum said I had a mental condition. Two similar, yet completely different memories. Clashing in. I'm becoming more aware that something is wrong. How could I be so proficient and skilled at killing? With trembling hands, I pulled out and looked at the front door. I have the keys. Mum and Dad aren't home. I can escape. But as I reached the door, a voice deep inside screamed that I couldn't leave. Without Mum and Dad's permission, I mustn't run away. In the end, I didn't dare open the door. Another plan began to take shape. I'll make Mum and Dad let me out themselves. Next came the cycle of killing and gathering information. It was a grueling, but while visiting the neighbors, I found Yi Xiao Xiao. By then, he had already turned into a pig destined for the slaughter. His body was bloated and heavy. His limbs had liquefied into there was even a pig's tail, growing right above his backside. He lay on the bed with a vacant stare, letting out dull, rhythmic. As for the change in Yi Xiao, the others offered an explanation. If you eat too much pork, you'll turn in, eat too much mutton, and you'll become a sheep. This corruption begins by rotting the mind, making you believe you really are a pig or a sheep. If your will is strong enough, you can resist the transformation for a time, but it only delays it. It can't be reversed. As long as you stay in this house, you will eventually succumb. I led Yi Xiao Xiao to the kitchen and moved the carcasses of the livestock I'd slaughtered into the kitchen. I began to cook. From today, I'm going to be a good child. I'll prepare dinner for Mum and Dad. Just before 8 o'clock, Mum and Dad arrived home right on. I went to greet them. Mum looked on in disbelief, pointing at the dishes on the table. Did you make all of these? Yes, I did, but it's my first time, so I don't know if they're any good. Mum pulled me into her arms and stroked my back. It doesn't. Mum loves anything you make. Even Dad, who always looked so finally showed a smile of relief. And so, the three of us had a happy dinner together. At the table, neither Mum nor Dad asked me where my brothers and sisters had got, because I never had any siblings. I'd been wrong all along. Only now did I remember. There have only ever been the three of us in this house. They weren't my brothers at all. They were just livestock, caught to be kept as food. Before dinner was over, Mum stood up in delight. This is the best dinner I've had in my entire life. You really are such a devoted son. I'd finally heard the words I was waiting for, but I still asked her tentatively, testing the waters. Mum, can I go out hunting on my own tomorrow? Of course you can. Both Mum and Dad agreed with a smile. But since it's your first time out tomorrow, you'd better wear these glasses, Mum said, handing me a pair of spectacles. On the morning of the fourth day, I stood at the door, wearing the glasses Mum gave. Under their watchful eyes, I left home. At first, I walked slowly, until I looked back and saw I was far away from them. Then, I began to run as if I ran until every ounce of strength had left my body. Only then did I collapse onto the ground, gasping for air. Finally, I finally escaped that hellhole. It was all just an act. I was just playing a part for those two monsters. I'm from Earth. I'm not a man-eating monster. The morning sun bathed my face. The air was filled with the scent of fresh soil and grass. I'd never felt that being alive was so wonderful. I'd never realized how dazzling the sun in the sky could be. There really is a sun after all. Those humans really were just the monster's lackeys. They lied to me. There's clearly a sun in the sky. Mist and moisture blurred my vision through the lenses. Instinctively, I took the glasses off to wipe them, but the moment I took them off, I saw the world around me suddenly warp and sink. There was no sun, only stars. Blood-red stars. And that wasn't a meadow at all. It was a putrid. It reeked with a nauseating, foul stench. The world was exactly as those humans had described. Exactly the same. How can this be? I put my glasses back on. The world shifts again into a blur of light. Birds singing. Off, then on, off, then on. Two worlds constantly flickering before my eyes. How can this be? This isn't the world I know. Of course it isn't. This is my world. In the dead of night, a voice in my head asks. I answer that I am Jaha. I am the true master of this body. You're Jaha? Then who am I? You're a shameless thief. You stole my body. You stole my family. You made me fall gravely ill. You made Mum worry herself sick. Just drop dead. Give me back my body.